We humans, we're all the same. Every last one of us. For some, it's drinking. For some, it's women. For some, even religion. Family, the king, dreams, children, power. All of us had to spend our lives drunk on something. Else we'd have no cause to keep pushing on. Everyone was a slave to something.
At some point in every life, there comes a moment when you ask yourself, do we truly have free will? Or are we just following a script we didn't write? Just like puppets, caught in a dance we never learned the steps to. The illusion of choice, the belief that every decision we make is ours, that we can steer our own destiny. But when we stop and look closer, are we really the ones calling the shots? Or are we simply following path laid out for us since the moment we took our first breath? Where were you born? What were you born into? What systems, ideologies, and structures were you forced to inherit? Did you choose your name? Your skin color? Your culture? Your place in history? Did you choose the injustice that touched your life? Did you choose to be born into all of this chaos? The gods, the rules, the politics, the religion, the language, the invisible barricades that divide us. Were these ever your choices? What if everything we've been told about choice, about freedom, was just a myth we learned to accept? A story repeated so many times we stop questioning it. We keep trying to make sense of a world that never asked for our input. And yet, here we are, bound by choices made for us long before we could even ask, who am I? Is this me? Is this my life? Why am I here? Is any of this even mine to claim? In an effort to cope, we reach for control. Or, as Kenny once said, all of us had to spend our lives drunk on something. Everyone was a slave to something. Because maybe that's what we do. Cling to something, anything, just to feel like we are the ones steering. But the more we grasp, the farther it slips. We're small, inconsequential in the vastness of this universe, and we're aware of it. And that awareness, that terrifying sense of how little we control, is what drives us to the edge. You look at the suffering in the world and you feel insignificant, powerless. The injustice that exists, hunger, oppression, violence, it's all around us. We are born into a world so overwhelmingly complex that, from the start, we are thrust into a storm of confusion. The weight of the world is too much. The rage builds, the primal force within us, as raw as the universe itself. You try to make a difference, but there's always more. You fight against it, but it's like fighting against the ocean. No matter how hard you swim, the tide pulls you back. Always something bigger, something beyond your grasp. You scream, but the world doesn't hear. You felt it, haven't you? The moment when the questions feel like waves crashing over you, and you ask yourself, what purpose do I serve in a world that doesn't seem to care? You try to act, you try to move forward, but the weight of it all pulls you under. It's inescapable. The uncertainty. This is helplessness. This is what helplessness feels like. It's not just external, it's internal. It's being aware of the vastness, the chaos, the insignificance of our existence. It's the silence between our thoughts, the void between what we want and what we can't have. It's the space where our dreams, our hopes, crash against the hard reality of existence. It's the weight of the systems we didn't ask for. But why do we bother trying? Then, despite our effort to fix things, the layers of complexity only deepen. Then, despite all our will to push against it, we can't change the course, the injustice, the absurdity of it all. In that realization comes rage, anger, discomfort, a primal, unshakable frustration. And in that rage, we seek a way out. But what do we do with that rage? We turn to creation, art, music, writing. These become our weapons, our only chance to channel the force that otherwise would consume us. We shape our helplessness into something that feels like control, feels like power. In creation, there's a semblance of control, and for just a brief second, we exist outside the boundaries of helplessness, even if it's just for a moment. We shape something from the chaos. It's a small rebellion against the chaos, a way to shape something that feels real, in a world where everything else feels meaningless. Every creation is a temporary escape, an acknowledgement of the truth. We are not in control, and even then, we can't fix the world. And that truth gnaws at us. We can't fully control our fate, and every time we try, the world pushes back, showing us just how little we control. But if we don't have free will, is this a script we're stuck acting out, line by line, pretending it's improvised? Every failure, every heartbreak, every spark of joy, written long before we ever showed up? Is the chaos just an illusion? An illusion of unpredictability? Are we sleepwalking through a story that's already reached its end? We talk about destiny like it's some grand idea, but what if it's just another word for a prison we can't see? Are we still the same puppets, trying to untangle the strings that have been pulling us since the beginning? Helplessness doesn't just come from what we can't change. It comes from the realization that we're trapped. We're trapped in this system, and we can't escape it. The discomfort isn't just in what happens to us, it's in knowing we may never truly change it. And yet, here we are, alive, creating, questioning, and maybe that's the human paradox. We can't control anything, but still we try it. And perhaps that's the real challenge, to live with it, to sit in the discomfort, to create from it and embrace it. To find meaning, not in changing the world, but in shifting the way we perceive it. To confront the discomfort, to rage, without allowing it to define us. To keep creating, to keep pushing forward, even when the path ahead isn't clear. And maybe, just maybe, this is the boundary of our free will. Creation. In the aftermath of everything we didn't choose, our birthplace, our family, our race, to traumas we didn't ask for. We stand at a quiet fork in the road of creation. In that moment, we have a choice. One path leads us to replicate the chaos, to mirror the injustice that carved itself into our lives, to recreate the very structure that wounded us, simply out of habit. The other path asks something harder. It asks us to turn the wound into something that speaks, to shape something that softens the edges of pain, to reflect the rage that lives inside us, to scream, yes, but also to soothe, to offer ourselves and others a moment of stillness amidst the noise. Some call that meaning, others call it beauty. But those are just names or subjective terms, labels we give to the things that make the ache bearable. Maybe free will is just a myth we tell ourselves to survive the absurdity. Or maybe everything is fated. Like some of the greatest unanswered questions in history, maybe we are not meant to find and land on a definitive answer, because even that would be another attempt to control the unyielding current of existence. Maybe the real task is learning to live with the uncertainty. We are helpless, but in that helplessness, we are human. And in our humanity, we create, we rebel. But in our rebellion, in our refusal to be silent, we find meaning. Even when it seems like meaning doesn't exist. Even in a world that doesn't hand it to us. We find a strange kind of beauty in it, and maybe that's enough.